Oh, you know what I forgot to do? To make us vertical.
Oh,
I think I have to do that at the beginning. Let me see if I can change it. Disabled while live. You know what? I don't. It's fine on this one. All right, it's the Tossing Salad Podcast live version on Tuesday night, Tuesday evening, right, Greg?
is right.
And we are getting together. It's been a few weeks since we've had Greg on. We've got a few things to catch up on and to kind of figure out still where we are in terms of the creation of a potential show. What have we come up with, where we're still kind of leaning towards, and whatever else tends to kind of come up. Greg, how has it been going?
Dude, it's been good. It's been a busy couple weeks, man. I celebrated a Super Bowl. That was fun. So
Yeah, congratulations to the
that took a
Chiefs.
week. How about that? That was fun. Then yeah, just been crazy after that.
Well, it's
Been
like,
busy.
not that we get, I mean, sometimes we do get kind of serious on a live or on a podcast or whatever. I mean, I know you're a big Chiefs fan, and that was awesome for you. And then you can't go a few days without then at the celebration.
It was awful. Yeah,
And
I had friends
did
and
you know
family
people
there.
that were out there,
Yeah,
or what?
I
Did that
did.
freak you
Yeah.
out?
I think I felt like they were pretty safe, but it's like weird, you just don't know who you're gonna, cross paths with, like when you're looking like social media or something. But yeah, I had a really good friend and his young boys were out there, but they go early. So he goes to like the beginning of the parade. That's what happens when you win a few Super Bowls. You start having like a routine. So that's what
Yeah.
he was joking about. No, I'm just kidding. But no, he left early. I knew he was back, and then my brother-in-law and some family were down there, but they were also safe. So yeah, it's just kind of weird to think through that. Like because I like it just closed. I was kind of watching it on my laptop off to the side, and then closed it, and then all of a sudden started hearing all this stuff. I was like, what?
I mean, do you feel guilty for, coming in after that happens and you're like, Chiefs, baby? I mean, how do you put something like that into perspective? Or are we to the point to where it's kind of just accepted, right? That
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
that
I mean,
is
it's
just what happens, and
yeah,
you roll the dice or the roulette wheel, and
yeah. I think it. I think it's probably because they'd had, they do a big like St. Patrick's Day parade too, and then we've had a few Super Bowls in the last few years, so there's been people down there kind of used to it. So I don't think they were expecting that, and obviously, and it just caught a lot of people off guard. Like you said, it sucked to go from all this like just fun times, especially just kids. Like that's the whole fun for them, man, is to go down there and just kind of enjoy it.
right.
And then to go south like that was like, dude, what the hell?
Yeah,
It's sad.
I aside from the fact that I don't like going out anyways, and I'm not going to a parade. I'm not going to go do
Right.
anything. I mean, I guess you can get shot anywhere
Pretty
you
much
go.
anywhere. Yeah. Yeah.
Theater, Super Bowl
Yep.
party, school, and I mean,
Yeah.
I am not making light of this, but yeah, it's. I thought about how does one react after something like that happens, coming from you're from Kansas City, you're a Chiefs fan, obviously you're just so hyped after the Super Bowl, and then it's just like it's just kind of a bummer. And then on top of it, then it's almost to the point to where I feel like you have to just, like, social media, everybody's outraged over something, immediately
Yeah.
afterwards I'm sure but
Yeah.
people have it out for, let's say, Taylor Swift and Kelsey and all that stuff for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Right. And so the shooting happens. Taylor Swift donates. I forget how much she donates to the family. Kelsey, I believe he did the same thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Correct. I think they matched everything. Yeah.
And it's one of those things to where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because now people are kind of criticizing both of them for, I don't even know the reason, but I just know that it's just you if you don't like them, you're going to pile on whether they donated or not.
Yeah, doesn't matter. They're just trying to help the families. I mean, that's the Kelsey podcast this week. They did a little short video. They're trying to put links together to help families, and it was cool to see like I know the players like hung around and like calmed kids down and kind of were, so I think the people that could do what they could do. But yeah, it was weird. It was weird to like when it touches something that like anytime it like, like you said, we're numb to this because we see it all the time. But when it's like a place you've been or like, then it just hits different. Or like you said, there's people I knew there.
Right.
So it's just scary,
And I didn't Travis getting into some issue because he ended up going to like an after party or something right after it happened.
Yeah, I think the players, the players all had, there was a event planned for them, and they did go there afterwards. And so yeah, it's like you said,
what are you supposed to do? Like what would you do?
I at that point it sounded like the players got together. I think they were all pretty freaked out. I mean, they had to do the like all safe thing, they had to, announce like all the players were accounted for it. I think they just went and decompressed a little bit. Like, and I got no issues with that. Like you said, what are you going to do? And to your point, you're going to get criticized for anything. If they ran away from the scene, they'd get criticized, but guys stayed and helped families out and stuff. And then, like you said, they already had these plans. I mean, what are you going to do? You don't just cancel them. I think, especially in that mode, it sounded like they wanted to get together a little bit because that's a pretty sobering moment, Do
you think that whatever form our show takes down the road, whether we're doing a live show, podcast, whatever the content's going to be or whatever, do you foresee us tackling issues like this at all or no? Or is this something that you don't necessarily want to talk about?
I think it makes sense when it applies to this scenario we're talking about, right? Like it has to do with me bringing up the Super Bowl, right? Like,
yeah,
and it's current events. I do in those regards. Yeah, I guess things come and go, or like, like you said, sometimes I listen to a lot of shows in the morning, that are intended to be fun, and they always say the same thing. Like I know McAfee last week, he addressed the shooting and then was like, but I'm here to like make you guys laugh. And he's like, kind of, you know what I mean? So for me, it's like you acknowledge stuff and then move on unless it's something that like hits home. So yeah.
Are you prepared if and when these conversations do come up, dealing with people in the comment section on it? Like, have you encountered that in the last 10 years where you've been on social media or maybe with your job or something, being criticized or liking something or talking about something? And we're kind of now to the point to where no matter what you're into, how benign the subject matter can be,
right?
It can always get weaponized somehow where you're going to have to you feel like you have to take sides, or you try to play it on the fence or kind of vanilla, but then that's not really, I don't know if I necessarily want to, let's just straddle the fence and not upset anybody. And I don't care. Let me see if I can phrase this better, or I don't know if I can, and you may have to rewrap it up. I don't necessarily care about upsetting people, or do I think what other people say or think affect a lot of what I do? But I don't go around imposing my will of certain things on a normal basis to where my outrage of something or what I'm against or I don't like or whatever, do I go and let it be known? And it's kind of funny to say that because I have a podcast show. Yeah. I'm on social media a lot. But I'm not one of those people that likes to go and insert myself and be an issue or to be outraged by something. I'm more internal about that, but yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I'm not one to, I used to, when you read comments on stuff, you just get worked up, and I've just kind of taught myself to stop. I mean, small example is just like all the Chiefs hate, right? Like I'm sitting here enjoying my life, going like, this is so fun. Like let somebody from the Midwest fly over country, enjoy some moments why the rest of the world's like, screw these guys, we're done with them, you know. So if I go down comments on like the Super Bowl or something, start seeing like, you know, oh, they cheated, or it's just like, dude, stop. So like I have to stay away from it. I think it'd be cool to like be able to like speak your mind a little bit if somebody is opposing you, because it's hard to tell who's just being an asshole,
right,
and just trying to cause trouble, or who really like is like, wow, you really think that, you know what I mean? Like that's what I think is hard. It's really hard to tell who's being real and who's not, you know, who's just trying to like stir the pot just to stir the pot.
I feel there's a lot of people out there that actually it's a turn on for them to be inserted into the whirlwind of just controversy. Like they get, whether it's guys, girls, whatever, they just get hard for it, right? They love seeing the drama. And I'm not above that fray either. There's times to where back in the hockey world, I wouldn't egg on a parent to go start something with another parent or a coach or something. But there'd be times where I'm like, I'm not going to stop it. And I feel like I probably could. But you see online, there's people that that's their thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'll see on TikTok, you scroll through the lives at 2:00 in the morning, and there is, I don't know how many countless ones that are like, and I'm just randomly going to say, I'm a Republican, debate me, or prove me wrong about something, or I'm a Democrat and I believe in this, and debate me. And they've got like 10,000 people watching, and it's just, I'm like, oh,
you don't want to engage with
I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I mean, with you, I don't want to necessarily get involved in stuff, but like like you said, if somebody makes a comment on this, then I feel like this is a place where we can come out and say like, this is why I think that way, or, you know, like I'm all about clarifying things, but I see no point in going down the rabbit hole. Sometimes, like you said, you're almost better not reading stuff.
Well, especially with like complete strangers. Like I know, like you and I could probably have a conversation and be on different sides of something. Yeah. I don't necessarily think that and I'm trying to remember back in the day. I mean, I'm sure there were things to where we were on, you know, you argue or I don't know, disagree about something, but it's never affected because one, you value a friendship. Two, you actually respect the person that you're talking to, in a sense that my thing is, I know as far as I know, you're a pretty reasonable guy. I don't expect you to have the same viewpoints or values or opinions that I do. I know there's a lot of things we have in common. There's probably going to be a few things we don't.
Right.
But I don't foresee, I mean, maybe that's part of our show. We find something to where we're so pissed at each other, we're not going to do it.
Well, it'll be tough to find. I'm sure we can find something.
Andres Fave says that Brian doesn't care about upsetting people. Just look at how he flaunts his giant beard in front of everybody.
That's true. I love that.
I get, and it's come from my family, mostly my mom sometimes. I used to, when I first started growing the beard out, she's like, well, what's the deal with the beard? And it just would piss me off, right? Just trauma from your relationship with your own parents or whatever.
Yeah.
Just picking apart everything that you do, or why are you doing this? So it was always like with the beard, what's the deal? And my answer has always been, it's because I can.
Yeah.
Why are you growing the beard? Why aren't you going to shave it or something?
Doesn't affect you. We had this conversation with somebody the other day. I wore a Chiefs hat into Target and ran into a friend, and he's like, "Oh man, I was rooting for the Chiefs until I found out Taylor Swift rooted for him. I can't." And Rachel just goes, "What did she do to you?" Like, or she's like, "How does that?" Like, it's crazy what people get upset about.
Right.
But yeah, to where point, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't impact
where it
you.
Literally will dictate something in their lives. There's a lot of things where I'm like, let's go back just a few years on the Taylor Swift stuff to where I was just very agnostic on her.
Yeah.
And really my opinions on some of the stuff, I think you and I have talked about this briefly here and there. You know, I thought, well, you know, there's sometimes her effect You know, she goes up to the awards show. She's like, oh, I won? Me? No way, you guys. And I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I agree. I hated that for a long time.
But it never was to the point to where I'm like, this is my flag I am sticking in the ground. That
hold on 1 second.
Yeah. Well, this is why.
What's up?
See, this is a perfect thing, you guys. This is a live here.
What's that?
And we have no idea who just came through this door. Could have been somebody who killed Greg. I don't know. Could be his wife.
Yeah, put something on.
Somebody that just came to the door that has no clothes on.
Sorry about that, Brian.
We have no idea who this is. I think if we do a show down the road, we're gonna do some kind of investment to where we have because I need one too, a recording sign on the outside or something. You may already have one because of the drumming and stuff, your band stuff. May a do not disturb.
I have a says G Studio G on it, but it locks. I just didn't think about locking it. So I can lock myself in here sometimes.
Oh, who was it?
It was my son.
Oh,
yeah, he's home he gets home on certain days early from school, right. So yeah, he just had to tell me something.
But yeah, we were talking about the Taylor Swift or just finding certain things that just get you so riled up for whatever reason it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I get it, I guess, but for that to be all consuming for you or to the point to where it just dictates, I don't know. I feel like on the Taylor Swift thing, if it's just not your thing, like her music or the pop stuff or the fact that she's so popular, because there's a thing out there to where if something's super popular, then the thing is to go against that a little bit.
I think social media helps with that. Like our son's like that a little bit when whatever the thing is that gets people agitated. Like he used to talk a lot about Trump. I mean, he was 15 years old. Like what's he need to know about Trump? And he would just hear that name and that, whatever, he'd see it on social media, whatever news. So yeah, I think that's what happens now is, like you said, everybody can just jump on stuff. Like, she is everywhere and she's out there. So, it's all over the place just because, take her relationship out of just her tour and everything. But I'm sure there's people that hated the Beatles too, they just didn't have a platform to go out there and tell everybody like you can now. Now, like you said, now you can be like, yeah, I'm against that. Like,
But I don't think there is one subject matter or topic that we can come up with that could be fun to where somebody is going to have some issue on it. And it could come from somebody that is diametrically opposed to everything that you stand for, or it could be somebody that's a usual ally or a friend or family.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny. There's somebody that I know, a friend of mine or a good acquaintance or something, and I think we have a lot of beliefs and all this stuff like kind of in common. And every time I've posted something about Taylor Swift, and again, my thing is, am I a Swiftie or anything? If you want to call me that, that's fine. I don't care. I do it because this is
I'll see
fun.
If I find
this fun. But then it's like, well, about her carbon footprint.
Yeah.
And the private planes. And I'm like, look,
I get it.
I'm all for, I want a good, clean environment and I want to do the best that I can or something. But if we're going to get into that, first of all, you're bringing this up and you're talking to a guy that hosts the Tossing Salad podcast, and I'm not saying we can't talk about stuff like this.
Yeah.
But if that's the thing you want to argue, then go for it, I guess.
To your point, there's an argument on everything, and there's some people that will just. That's the hard thing. You can basically go online and you can support your argument on anything you do, right? Like you could go out and be like, whatever it is, you could find like something that supports you and something that opposes it, so whatever your view on anything, I feel like that's what's so weird is you can go out and be like, oh, look, all these people agree with me, So I had a buddy that feels the same way, what you just said about the carbon footprint. He's the same guy who used to talk about, the hippies, if you will, on one side, right? He's like, one side of it during the mask and COVID and everything was like, there was definitely the liberal hippie side. It was like, everybody should be masked up and this and that. But now you find those masks everywhere. like at parks and like, and that's what he would say. Like, so the same people that want these masks won't throw them away though, like in the right spot, or like, so they're hurting the environment. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like the carbon footprint of the person who's probably really wants to save the world.
So this is going to be interesting. You know, if we get to the point on the show that we end up coming together on, Sean, hey, what's going on? Sean, Garden Guy Muskoka is on, I think, Instagram here, coming out saying hi. And I think I saw, just real quick, because I do want to give you guys some shout outs if you guys are joining and leaving some comments or whatever. Aaron Wirtz, what's up, buddy? He was on earlier on. It'll be interesting to see the conversations that we can have on certain things that maybe they're somewhat more socially controversial, that maybe you and I are on different ends, or possibly I'm like, well, have you looked at it this way?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, okay. But instead of just calling me a douchebag,
Exactly.
I think you would actually be like, oh, okay, well, Brian kind of thinks that. That's cool. And I'm like, oh, Greg sees it that way. Again, I can have that kind of conversation with you. I wouldn't have that with just anybody. I wouldn't have it with like a hockey parent or some parent from school or a neighbor or anything like that. It has to be somebody. I used to be like that. I think Greg knows, like when I was back in college, I used to be a little more involved with politics and stuff.
Yeah.
I used to, because I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
To kind of engage and not necessarily debate and argue, but just to do all that kind of stuff.
Nobody debates anymore.
But I will not do that with anybody that I am not 100%, but like to where I know you're coming from a good position to where, okay, I think Greg's a good guy. I don't think his intent is to go out and like be a dick or harm people or anything like that. So I'll be curious if there's an issue we come across and Greg is kind of on the other side of things. I'll be like, I've got to hear this.
Yeah. I'm a calmer downer. I like to think of somebody that can be like, try to keep the peace, but I also really respect people's opinions. And if somebody has a real opinion on why they feel a certain way, I actually like to hear it sometimes. Like, I'm very curious to hear why people think a certain way, especially if it goes against, because I think I'm pretty open-minded too. Like, I feel like
I think you are,
like,
but again,
I can see why you'd say that. Like,
I know Greg from 20 years ago at the University of Missouri. So I don't know what he's been doing since then, but I think he's a pretty open-minded guy. What's up, Emma? Hola, my friend. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see the different kind of things that we bring on to this show that, yes, Greg and I are still trying to figure out what do we want to do? What can we do? Where do you see, because again, this is the first time Greg and I have really had any kind of conversation in a couple weeks regarding the show. So I guess I'll just, where do we stand in your eyes, Greg?
I think we're open to see other people. Oh, sorry. This is live. I'm still swirling on that idea that came up the other night, man. As soon as I saw that coach or the EA Sports thing, I was like, how funny would it be to like do a mock interview with a coach that dominated, college football gaming? And then I was like, well, that could spawn to do like other fun things, like I said, almost like a Weekend Update type of scenario where we can have a funny conversation and it doesn't seem real because maybe it's a character, but it.
And do you see that as I
see it as a bit for you.
Bit
that to me would be more of a recurring guest,
okay,
and not so much like its own show.
Its own show. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was funny. I love that because that never had crossed my mind. This is what's cool when you're dealing with somebody on the creativity level, to where there are things that kind of float in my head that are like, well, could we do this? Is this too crazy? I'm sure nobody will like this, but I think it's funny. And then you bring somebody else in, like Greg and I are now trying to throw a bunch of stuff up on the wall. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, that's, I'm down for that. I don't know if I understand fully where you were kind of thinking, But I was like,
Yeah.
I think it sounds kind of cool. I think
Well,
it
it
sounds
was
funny. I think we
midnight.
can do
It
it.
was midnight, and I probably had some bourbons. That's why I was like sitting. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Hold on, I gotta get this down."
That's when some of the best ideas
I know.
come, is like late at night.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I thought it was funny because I thought it would be a creative way to talk about things. So that, I mean, like I said, the EA Sports thing announcing, or I guess the trailer had come out of college sports coming back, and I'm like, well, what a funny way to like have you and I talk rather than just two dudes sitting here going, "Hey man, let's talk about the game," which we could do.
yeah.
But I just thought it would be funny to have the conversation from the perspective of like, hey, so today joining me is this former, Greg, how many championships did you win? And almost like an ESPN type of
Right.
interview of like, you know, what are you looking forward to in the new game, and how are you so successful? I mean, just totally joking, like, yeah, I played college football on PlayStation.
See, that got me thinking ever since you updated our list. So we've got like a little we use a program called Miro, which is what Chelsea and I used to use. It was a program she had last year that we would use to kind of compare notes or whatever. And that got me thinking, like, you almost, in addition to doing that on the show or whatever, is you cutting little promos as that character, kind of like the
Sure.
ESPN
Yeah.
commercials,
Yeah.
to where it's a 30-second TikTok or an Instagram thing or a YouTube short that we can post on there, to where it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to be interviewed on Tossing Salad podcast coming up, talking about the release of College Football 25, but you're in that character.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's really gives you endless possibilities of just doing either promos or referring people to the actual live that we're going to do, or part of the show or something. Yeah. So I think it's a great idea,
because I thought it'd be fun to like a spinoff of the character I did when I did the little promo with the wig, for the band. Like, that guy could be, hey, we're gonna, this week we're gonna talk about, for some reason, if there's a musical topic, like, hey, we're gonna bring in our buddy, he's back from the road, can kind of chime in on this thing, or like I said, there could be a couple other, like, we could have like a funny. I was thinking of like a guy that's like sitting in a cubicle that's like hiding, like he's supposed to be working, that's answering like business questions.
And I think, yeah, so there's so many different things that we can kind of flesh out on something like that, to where you actually can have a real kind of interview, but you're just in a different kind of a character.
Yeah. And we can have the same conversations, give the same opinions, like
the same feel and everything. We could still talk about College Football 25 and, comparing it to when we were playing Bill Walsh in the 90s and what we're going to do now. And I think that's a great idea. And it kind of opens us up to, I'm struggling with, are we looking to create a whole new show, or is this a segment that we're doing under the Tossing Salad umbrella on like a weekly basis, or whenever we can kind of get together? And
I like that as a thought to start, because I feel like that could steer us to a point where we're like, okay, now we got enough, maybe we can, you know what I mean? Like, rather than trying to start cold turkey, like maybe that gives us a chance too. That's
what I was thinking also, because I was like, trying to come up with the actual package as close to, I understand it's not going to be a finished package when we get started, but to get a lot of that stuff just kind of going, I felt like I was having a hard time getting that going and started.
Right.
If we were going to create a whole new show. Whereas if this was almost like a recurring additional segment on Tossing Salad on a weekly basis, whether it's a live, and it just, that kind of helps us get in the feel of things for the show. And then at some point, 3 months, 6 months down the road, we're like, you know what? I think we have something with certain bits and segments. That's the show, Greg.
Yeah, I think so too. That's kind of what I was thinking. It might just be able to get our feet wet by mess around with some ideas and see what sticks, see what we like talking about, just kind of see where it goes. But I think those ideas, like, I have this the only reason that it's on my mind is this summer we were it was my 50th this year. We went to the Ozarks for a little get together with some friends, and everybody brought wigs down just to be funny, to mess with me. So we were playing games one night, and I had this pink wig on, and I called myself Gardetto. So I think I wrote that in one of our notes. So Gardetto would be like our arts and entertainment and social media like character. this Gardetto that could speak on like current. I don't know. Like I said, I just envision it a little bit like how Weekend Update. You know, there's just those sometimes those recurring person that comes in and has kind of a vibe or a character.
But it also gives you the opportunity to where you can create the backstories kind of on your own for each one of these characters.
Yeah.
To where you and I aren't necessarily on the same page in creating that character, but that's like your particular character. And as he or she, they, whatever keeps coming on, you're like, oh, you know what? I bet you this would be funny if his backstory is this, and he does this, or he has a certain tick or whatever.
Yeah.
So then you start creating this, and then you can, like I said, you can even start cutting your own promos and spots.
Yeah, that would be fun. Because I think that's a funny way to layer in stories too. I think it would spin off like not only like hot topics, whatever's like the current thing is, or ways we can work in like the Joker we were talking about, like maybe someday we can work a story in of like our rollerblading days or something, like you know, be like, you know, this like some woman that's now grown up, you know, she was in the dorm, used to witness our rollerblading.
But that opens us up again, not only to the promos, but doing just stupid silly skits as TikToks or as reels and shorts, to where, and I'm just saying this as an example. Like, let's say Rach is like, you know, she doesn't mind every once in a while helping or being a part of a skit, to where she's like one of the girls in the dorms, and she's peeking out the window, and then it's you out there on your driveway right now, like, you know, trying to do some jumps or something with your rollerblades or whatever.
You don't want me to get hurt.
But I think that does opens us up to a lot of places where something like that could go, in addition to crafting various segments and having somewhat scheduled lives. You know,
and you, what you were saying earlier, I think it'd be fun to create debate, fun topics, like your whole folding that fitted sheet thing, or some friends of ours, we've gotten in jokes. We laugh sometimes. We were sitting around drinking beers on somebody's deck one time, and somebody started asking about which way they put the silverware in the dishwasher, if it goes up or down. And we just stopped and we're like, what the hell's wrong with us? What are we, 90 years old? But I think it'd be fun to have healthy debate over, like make it sound like it's going to be, hey, this week we've got a heated topic, you know, as a promo, but then like the debate is really over something really stupid.
I totally understand what you're saying. And it could be like tomorrow we're like, you know, hey, let's do a live on silverware in the dishwasher up and down.
Yeah.
And then we come in, and I could actually make that an hour-long show talking about that as a married couple. And then we both have our experiences of, okay, well, are you the one that loads the dishwasher, or do you guys alternate? Are you one to where they go handle up, handle down? Why is that? Does that piss you off? Has that created fights? Dude, that could essentially be hours of entertainment.
And you could interview your friends too. I feel like I could come in and be like, I spoke to like almost like a street beat writer. Like, okay, I spoke to 3 people.
Or you could be reporting live from your friend's house, your neighbor's house. You know, here we are. We're going to open up their dishwasher. So I get what you're saying. I think we can make that work. I think it'll be fun. And I think the fact that you and I are just like, God, that sounds so fucking stupid sometimes. And we're like, well, yeah, that's the point. And can we make it fun?
Because in the fall, when it's peak freaking election time, we could really have fun with, like, you know, another heated debate topic this week, but it's something that's not what people are expecting. Like,
I mean, I could see us you know, so like the whole what was it, the sneaker con thing that was in
Yeah.
Philly? Like,
Yeah.
what if we did an episode to where we take shoes and we get gold spray paint? You and I are just making gold shoes, and we're going to make that like
I like that.
Tossing Salad podcast
Oh my
shoes, and we try to
God,
sell it.
dude. Yeah, that would be sweet.
I mean, just something so stupid, but then it's
Yeah.
like, will anybody watch it?
Of
I
course.
honestly don't care.
Yeah.
Just like,
That's the point. That's the point. It's supposed to make somebody laugh. Like, I'm all about giving people a reason to think more lightheartedly in this world. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, okay. So I have our note program up, and I'm going to put it up on the screen here just so that we can kind of look at some of the names of the potential show that we have, that Greg and I have been kind of talking about, and how that could possibly apply to either a standalone show or one to where it's just a live with Greg that's called This. And on this show this week, we're doing silverware that's in the dishwasher, or we're doing a college football
Olympics.
25 skit with you as a Hall of Fame coach or something.
Wouldn't that be a great interview? Can you imagine?
Yeah, well, I think because it'll be hilarious, you know, because you would still find something out of that, even though you are not a college football 25 player. Like, you don't play Xbox, but you're just like, oh my God, what's Brian and Greg doing now with that?
Yeah.
So, well, here's the thing we have set up for just show names, and the note program that we're using it's almost kind of like a sticky note, to where you have a big whiteboard behind you. If Greg and I were in the same room, we're in corporate America, and we're coming up with ideas for the new division of the corporate office or something, and we're coming up with just different names. So there'll be times where Greg will come up with some names, I'll come up with names, and it doesn't matter whether it's dumb, it's great, or whatever, or if it doesn't make sense. I think we were both like, just put it on a Post-it and put it there so we can look at it. So there's a few on here.
I do like the mansplaining for dummies. That makes me laugh a lot.
So, and a lot of these I came up with when, you know, prior to us talking about, well, are we having a music show or not?
Yeah.
And it may, I mean, sometimes that could work. Maybe that's one of the segments on the show that we're having.
Right.
Let's see here. So we have mansplaining for dummies, hear me out, everything but the music, breaking news and busting balls, my wife thinks I'm funny, besides the music, someone needs to hear this, 2-minute men, 2 fingers deep. And I came up with that, and I ran that by someone, and they took it a completely different way. When you see that, what do you think?
I think it's naughty.
See, that's what they said.
Yeah.
So she told me, she's like, you can't do that. I was like, Greg and I are at that age, 50, to where we get the prostate checked and everything.
Oh yeah, good point.
And I'm thinking, and then she was like, well, are they putting 2 fingers in you? And I'm like, well, I guess not.
By request.
So that's where that came from. It's kind of like I was trying to encapsulate where we are in life with 2 guys that, you know, but then, and I totally get it. Whether or not that works, I don't know. Turn it to 11, one night only, the drummer and the fan, sleeping with the drummer, it's more than the music, 69 BPM. The music's too damn loud, static on the mic show, backstage pass. After the show, just 2 dads and we're having a good time. Iller and Filthier, which that was a take off of
that's kind of one of my bands,
one of your bands. And then Almost Famous. So is there any there that you're just like, are you gravitating towards something? Because I do think we need, if we're going to decide right now for, let's say, the next 3 months or 6 months, that whatever you and I are going to do is going to be a show under Tossing Salad umbrella. It's probably going to be a live show, I would imagine. Um, but it could be recorded. That's, not that much to get hung up on. But we need whenever Greg is on the show, we're naming it this. Tossing Salad
Right.
presents Iller and Filthier. So
Yeah.
people
I
know,
don't,
it's a Greg
yeah.
and Brian.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of like that. That one kind of works. I like breaking news and busting balls. I think that's kind of funny. I mean, those make the most sense, like you said, if we're not sticking to like the music stuff we talked about, or like,
Yeah,
because I think there's elements of that we can do, but
yeah,
yeah,
if we're not doing just the music one, the one idea that we had was we were going to interview people in like local bands from across the world, really, and talk to somebody from that band about something kind of random that they're into that we're also into, and then the last part of that show would be, okay, well, to hype up their band,
yeah,
check out some of their songs or whatever, but to get to know that particular artist in that local band a little bit better. Emma has an idea here. We're gonna have to put that on a note. Emma saying, I think turn your head and cough is more accurate to your phase in life than the two fingers thing. And Emma, true. I think you're right. And I have yet to have that. So that's probably why I don't necessarily know how many fingers go in or if that's what happens.
No, they just shove a bunch of shit up there, like cameras and all kinds of fun stuff.
So you've done that already?
Yeah, it was great.
Because my insurance up until I think this past year's, I have to be 50 before it's covered.
They're changing it now to 46.
Yeah, so now something I've got to schedule something like that. So turn your head and cough. Emma, I like that. I'm actually going to put that on right now, Emma.
What about something like, I don't know, we always laugh, like something about, bedtime by 10 or something like that. Like, or I was just thinking of like our whole watching or saying the weekend update, like it's too late. Like I couldn't stay up to watch that.
Yeah.
Like,
I think you can see that I haven't used the desktop version because I don't know how to make an actual note in here.
It's pretty. I know it is a little bit harder. That's pretty cool. But you can go down. You can find where's the one with the characters, the segments on the segments section. Oh, there it is. Show segments to your right.
Okay, hold on. Oh, there's the note. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can type there.
Yeah, 8:30 sounds about right. Weekends, it's tough to get up past 10:30.
Okay, so now I can put that over there. Show segments. Here we go. And I got to get used to, like, on the mouse to move this around on the desktop. It's the right clicker that allows me to drag this around, and then it's my scroll wheel to where I can scroll in and out.
So you can put this on the Mac, right?
Yeah, you can download it from Mac or PC.
Okay, cool. I have it. I just don't have it on here yet on my computer. I got it on the iPad. That one at the top, those are the ones that I was thinking of doing characters. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Create recurring guests. Like I said, kind of like the news, just like we said. So I have the idea of that former coach player guy. Like I can just see him, I've got a visor on, just the whole coach speak. Then Gardetto, that's my arts and media person. So that'd be your like social media.
Is that a name? Is that like
Gardetto?
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that from something, or is that just a completely made up name?
We were eating snacks that night, and I called myself Gardetto, and it just stuck. Everybody was laughing. I'll send you a picture of Gardetto.
But I'm like, how does that name come up?
I was thinking of the snacks, the Gardettos. Dude, I don't know how I think of things, man. Don't ask me that kind of stuff.
Let's see, Emma says I've yet to use Miro, but have looked at workspaces other folks have set up. So yeah, this was one that Chelsea used quite a bit with her business, And I was like, yeah, let's just stick with it, since she knew how to do it. So she was the one that was like maneuvering and organizing our notes. And so now I'm like, well, let's just use that. But now I'm like, I'm the guy that has to kind of know what's going on with it. I mean, Greg can too, but I'm just saying I'm the one that's somewhat familiar with it, and I can barely operate it. There's a ton of stuff you can do with it.
Yeah, it's cool. There it is.
So different show segments that Greg's put on here too. Let's see here. My Dumb Moments, Truman Show. What is that? Explain that a little bit.
Oh, just talking about dumb things that happen to you and I. Like, so we were saying how sometimes I feel like sometimes I'm like, if something stupid happens to me, I'm like, am I on the Truman Show? Like, just things that happen and when you're like, did anybody else see that? Like,
right.
Just those moments.
Yeah, no, we could definitely have, and that like each show that we end up doing can be of that specific topic, or it could be a show for that day to where we have different segments, or one to where we have a little banter, and then we go into like the interview with the college football coach or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that we got to figure out on the banner stuff. And maybe, I don't know if it's 50-50 or not, but I'm seeing a lot of people on the podcast creation side of things on Threads. A lot of the people that I interact with on Threads are other podcast show creators, as opposed to people that listen to podcasts. And a lot of them are on the bandwagon now, to where at the very beginning of the show, you get rid of any banter. It's a short intro, and then you're right into what you guys are talking about. Because they're like, you listen to some of these podcasts, they banter for 10 minutes, and then they're like, oh yeah, this is what our show is going to be about. And you talk about what it's going to be about, as opposed to just getting into it. And I get that, but also I like the banter, but I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. My favorite thing in the Gardetto's mix would be those little crackers. What are those little, I forgot what they call them, the little cracker things.
Gardetto's is an actual, like,
it's like a Chex Mix kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
But again, that night I have no idea where that came from, but I just decided I was going to call myself Gardetto. I sent you the picture to your text. It's me in a bright pink wig, glasses, and a shirt that says I'm 49 plus 1, and the plus 1 is the middle finger. It was some for my 50th.
Oh, here, let me look at my phone.
Can we use middle fingers on here?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, so I love it.
Gardetto's got social media, just tied into what's going on in the world.
How many wigs do you have?
We have a lot of old hot costume parties and stuff. We used to do a Halloween party every year, like you guys did. One of our really good friends hosted one. So for 10 years, like I feel like we were every year, something else. So got a bunch of wigs sitting around.
I still have pictures of that. Actually, I pulled up a couple pictures from that, but then I'm like, I couldn't post it. I wanted to, but I couldn't, because it wasn't just you, unless I crop people out.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, do I?
And I'm offensive in that now.
Do you care about showing X's? And I don't want to be disrespectful to the wife or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't need that person coming back in my life. Can't show her.
Let's see here. What else do we have? What would make a great SNL sketch or a skit? Sickness and health, marriage stories and tips. I think that would be great. I think that would get a lot of people, especially our age, to where it's like that kind of goes into the whole dishwasher thing, because that shit, like, does it really matter? No, but yes.
But
yes, it does. We have had huge fights about just the dishwasher, to the point to where I'm like, just don't load it anymore, because
I got it.
And I'm such an asshole about it, because I'm like, come here and look at the dishwasher. How are these dishes going to get clean when they're stacked like this? And she's like, well, then load it yourself. I'm like, yes, please just let me load it.
That's so.
And it's just stupid.
Yep. Yeah, we do that a lot with our kids. Generally, Rachel and I are on similar pages and stuff, but it's the kids that we just laugh like, really, they think this is going to get clean.
Yeah, there's plenty. I mean, we could have like a parenting thing.
There's plenty.
So there's a lot of things that we're going to have to kind of organize how we're going to present it on this
I don't
show
know
that we're doing.
If you believe in the supernatural, but I believe our house has ghosts because there's things happen and people eat stuff or leave things and nobody claims it. And so Rachel and I now think we actually have spirits living in our house. So maybe we could do a show on.
We can do a show on ghosts, especially around Halloween time. I did a live a couple, how many, was that 2 years ago or was that last Halloween? Oh, I don't remember. My friend Anna, Smart Home Canner, we talked about like our real life ghost stories. Like we feel like we have been visited by ghosts that we can't explain anything. Mine was at Mizzou prior to moving in by you.
Okay.
And we had a great episode on ghosts, and I'm like, well, shoot, you and I can talk about that for sure.
Yeah.
Behind the music, writing and recording. So yeah, I think it could be a thing to where we sit down with you and talk about what it's like being in a band, changing bands every so often, the dynamics, creating music, favorite bands, albums, songs, inspirations, band or song connections, bands that you had to dive into later in life.
Just stuff like you've been talking about recently, just finding things
that you're just like, my tastes now have kind of changed and I'm totally into, and I can totally dig that because I'm like, I'm all into Beatles and Traveling Wilburys now. And I'm like, I would never have foreseen that.
I think there are many things out there where social media or just streaming, just to access, I guess is the word, is good for life. And I feel like that's one of them, like music, being able to like, I mean, we could never have done that, back in college. We would have been like, I'm not going to go spend money on an album that I don't know if I'm going to like or not. Whereas now being able to just pull it up on your Apple Music or whatever,
right,
is super cool to like find and experience new bands or bands you're like, I'm going to give these guys a chance, kind of thing.
I know you did the same thing that I did back in the day when you and I were at Mizzou. Was Columbia Music House.
Oh yeah.
20 CDs for a penny.
Yeah.
And then somehow, I don't know how we got around it, but somehow you were able to cancel it and you got like the free CDs or something.
Yeah. No, you don't. Yeah. It's, those were the days though, man. I love those days when the big box would show up. God, it was fun. No, there's nothing that compares to that except like.
Let's see here. I remember when I first heard or was introduced to something, music, movie, artists, etc. That could be absolutely fun. We introduce something new to each other every week: food, recipes, music, show, whatever. I love that idea too. Yeah, I think that's great. On Emma, I put on here, Emma's got a comment. I don't do dishes. I cook the food. Hubby does the dishes and the kids clean the kitchen, which is a great setup if you can agree to do that. We kind of do the same thing in a sense that we alternate weeks to where 1 week I do the grocery shopping and the cooking, and the alternate week she does. And then the kind of rule is whoever cooks, the other person has to clean up. But then we get into a fight about that because as I cook, I am kind of meticulous. I'm not a meticulous person in general, but as I cook, I clean up as I go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I feel like when I cook, there's not a lot to clean up for my wife. But when she cooks, it's a complete disaster. I'm like, well, this isn't fair. And we've thought about it.
Yeah. It's so funny. Yeah. It's pasta night. Thanks for letting me clean up pasta night. That's funny.
What is wrong with you? What's that? Did you do that or did I?
That one I was thinking of, like when you see something out there, not you meaning you per se, but just you as like generally you, something that maybe sets you off, like to your point, maybe somebody makes a comment or something, or you see an idea you don't like, or why would somebody do that? So that kind of, what's wrong with you? Like, but like that could be what you just said. What's wrong with you? When I make dinner, I clean up as I go. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong?
I love it. I may not understand when I first see it.
Yeah.
And some of these I'm like, did I write that or did you? So it, you know,
I
'cause
try. Yeah, I
forget.
try to remember. I think I wrote that one. Yeah, because that's what I was thinking of. And that comes from one of my favorite comedians, Sebastian Maniscalco, this Italian guy. I think he did his show. I think one of his hour-long stand-up comedies was actually called like "What's Wrong with These People" or something. And it's just him talking about various scenarios and stuff. So that's where that kind of came from.
Is he the one that they accused? He's the one that got with Bobby Lee's girlfriend, or no?
I don't think so. No,
maybe somebody else.
He's kind of a family guy. Like he's married and stuff. So I don't think so.
Maybe there was somebody.
But
else.
Yeah, that was where "What's Wrong with You." It's more like, certain. You see somebody do something somewhere, and you're like, dude, what's wrong with that guy? Or what's wrong with that lady? Like,
I think we can make it a good conversation again. I think what some people may not understand, and maybe we can get on the same page here or something. I think a lot of these things that we come on to discuss, what's wrong with you or whatever it is, if it's a kind of a serious topic or not, we're going to come up with serious points, but then it's going to be just because of our personalities. It's going to be kind of lighthearted. I don't think that there's really any, I'll be curious to find out with you is what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be uncomfortable.
Mm-mm.
I say that, and I'm sure like Emma's probably like rolling her eyes. She's, oh yeah, sure, whatever. You guys won't be talking to each other after the second week or whatever. But I think there's any kind of topic we can kind of throw in there.
Yeah.
And we're going to be tempted to try to find a way to do an election year to where we talk, not that it's going to be a political episode or whatever, but we try to find something fun. Out of the gold sneakers this week. That's how I look at how we can do something while kind of having fun with it. Dear Abby.
How fun would it be to this goes back to like that game you were playing with your friend a couple weeks ago, that live you did where you got the old game out and you were asking, and the questions were kind of outdated, or the people were
right.
What was like, who would you do?
It was a 2002 who do you do? But it was people that were prominent in that year. So
my thought was like the Dear Abby thing. I thought it'd either be funny to go back and get old like questions people sent in, because didn't she like give her advice? Wasn't it like an advice? So I thought
my husband stays late at work every day.
Yeah.
What should I do? And then Dear Abby back in the 60s or 50s would be like, well, honey, you need to make sure when he comes home, you're not yapping your mouth about, having to clean the house all day and have a nice warm dinner.
Two fingers deep, lady.
I think that would be a blast.
But could we answer in like today's world? Like, but the questions
we would do both ways.
Yeah.
We would do both ways. We would probably float in and out of whatever character that we're thinking of.
Yeah.
And then we would give our own now take on it. I think that would be super fun.
I like that.
I think that could be one to where we can do an episode, the next episode we do, like you go find one of the Dear Abbeys from the 50s or 60s. Okay. I'm assuming that's when she came up, right? That's when
I think it was even later. I mean, I thought it was in the 80s even.
Maybe it is. How about this? Why don't we do this just so that we have something for the next time we get together?
Okay.
You find one of those Dear Abby's questions and however she comments back to it, because that'll be fun to see what she actually said to them. And then you and I just kind of riff and go into it on that. And that's our next episode.
Okay.
I think we need to probably in the next, sooner than later, our goal should be to come up with, whenever you're on for a live, what's our live show going to be called right now, so we can differentiate a little bit, that it's not just normally just a tossing salad, even though it's under the umbrella.
Okay.
Amanda's here. What's up, Amanda? Probably in her car on the way to, I'm sure she's probably in her car on pickup.
Kids.
She's on East Coast time. Which I will say, Amanda, if you're still on, I know you were talking today on your stories about getting acquainted with travel volleyball or whatever. We've got to do some kind of an episode about talking about being parents in like travel sports or whatever, because that could be a whole series, and we can that could be a round table with Greg, Amanda. Greg, do you do travel stuff?
Me?
Yeah.
Do we travel?
Do you do like travel sports?
No.
Travel dance or whatever with either of the two kids?
I do for myself. I dance. No, we don't. We have non-sports kids. So we were laughing. We went to we drove to Milwaukee to buy Evan a car, and everybody was like, "I can't believe you did that." And I'm like, "Well, we stayed in a hotel in Milwaukee," and we were like, "How many times have you done that for your hockey kids?" And our friends were like, "Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense."
Right. You met people there in Milwaukee to go?
We drove there to buy his car. It's like 4 hours away. So the car we found on Marketplace to buy him was there. So we drove all the way over, spent the night, got a hotel room. My wife's like, "What are we doing?" I'm like, "We'll just remember we don't have sports kids." Like,
there was not...
the things you do for your kids, man.
Jesus. Well, anyway, so I'm going to throw this out there. So, Greg, maybe you're not involved with this particular episode, but I know Emma has expressed interest before because of her kids, that we have to have some kind of a round table of this crazy world of travel sports.
Yeah, I've got I could at least I'd love to be a part of it, just because
you can be a moderator.
All of our friends are hockey. I was just talking to somebody the other day about hockey life and how different that is, and how they get crazy at the hotels, and like hockey families are way different than I think the other families. Baseballs.
See, I think it all is. I think they're all the same.
Yeah.
I think dance, hockey, baseball, volleyball, I think it's all the same. If you're spending upwards of, let's just say, 10 to 20,000 plus on your kid to play whatever sport or dance there is, I think it's all the same parents. It's the same characters. You're going to have people that are the ones that get drunk all the time. You're going to have the ones that complain about playing time all the time. You're going to have the ones that sleep with the coach all the time. You're going to have the ones that do everything, like, buy the coaches dinners just to try to get an extra, get on power play one. I think that would be a fun episode. And maybe you're the one that runs it. And then we have Amanda, who I think she said she's kind of new to it. So that'll be good to talk to, like this new deer in the headlight parent. And then Emma and I, who are these grizzled veterans. So
I love it. Yeah, no, I've been a part of, and it's funny. In fact, my wife used to go on these girls' weekends with like 14, 15 moms. And she said the last couple of years have been hard because they talk sports the whole weekend.
Yeah.
It just becomes like, because then you get, like you said, it gets hot sometimes. Like, the debate starts and like play time, whatever it is. And she'll sit there like, I have no dog in this fight. And we don't support dog fighting. So
well, and like, I think a lot of the times, like the moms, see, I'm generalizing here.
Oh, here we go. Here comes the comments.
Well, I should save some of this for the actual show, but I think a lot of the moms act all buddy and friendly, and I think they're worse. They're worse than the dads are behind the scenes. I'm just relaying based off of my experience over the last 10 years or so of travel hockey, which I'm out of it now, so I can talk about whatever.
The youngest isn't doing that still?
No, my youngest, he's school. He's just doing hockey in high school, but that whole career's coming. Like, he played his last game last week, and then he's got one more. Like, the seniors have an all-star game, so he's going to do that. And he's done.
Nice. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to have to set that up, and then I'll talk to you behind the scenes here to see if that's something that you want to be like the moderator or the guy who asks the questions, and then we'll have myself. I think Emma would be down with doing it because she went through like competitive softball on her own, and then I'm curious, like her kids, I don't know if it's her daughter or whatever, we'll have to see. And then Amanda is down for anything, really. Amanda's one of those girls that just doesn't say no to anything. She's like, I'm down for it. So
nice.
So yeah, let's
I like that.
let's try to. I think we've solidified some things here. I think for the next 3 to 6 months, time wise, we're going to have a special segment of Tossing Salad. And correct me as we're going here if this is not the same page as you. A special segment under Tossing Salad to where it's probably going to be live shows on a weekly basis that'll be branded as, and you and I will have to come up with how we're branding when you and I are together.
I wonder if it should be a playoff of Tossing Salad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, think about that too. Could it be like something that goes along with Tossing Salad, or like, you know what I mean? Like, like a side. I'm thinking of like some, whatever, some other thing that could tie into your show.
Yeah, something like the side piece of something.
Yeah. That's funny.
So if we can come up with something like that for Greg and I, so we can continue to craft whatever show we're trying to do, have some fun, but have it to be a self-contained thing within Tossing Salad. We'll try to come up with an actual name for that. I think a lot of the names we came up with on here, they're great for what we were thinking about at the time.
Yeah, like a standalone maybe. Yeah.
But so
keep those for now. We might be able to like.
So there are the names there. But I think if we can come up with a name for our segment of the show,
Tossing Salad side piece, that's freaking great.
I think we can have some fun with that. And then we'll just let me switch it here to where we're just a little bit bigger. And we try to do it as a regular weekly thing when we can get together. Mm-hmm. I'd like to come up, if it's possible, I don't know if it's possible to come up with a set day. Because I do think if we're doing lives, it is important to try to get a time to where other people that once they kind of attach themselves to what we're doing, they want to have a look forward to being a part of that show. But the great thing about how we're doing this, and with any kind of podcast or whatever, is it's not the end all be all the moment that you record it, because it lives on in clips and people can access it later. But if they want a part of it, they want to be a part of that show, the live time should be kind of set.
Yeah. That wouldn't be, my weeknights are pretty wide open.
Amanda likes rim job or circling the rim. See, so Amanda and I do I call it semi-regular. She's probably the one that has been on my show the most. And we've tried to come up, like I approached her, what was that, months ago, in trying to do a show with Amanda. And it's hard. She's got a lot of her stuff going on the garden side of things too, with her social media. But she had come up with a name. What'd you say, Amanda? At some point, barely past. Where did those balloons come from? Did you do that?
I didn't do that.
How does that happen?
I don't know, but I do want a margarita too.
I
didn't see it.
I didn't I got to figure out how. So balloons are all over my screen. I'm like, I don't know how that happens. Well, anyways, Amanda once said barely passable live show or something to that effect. I forget what she said. I'm like, I actually like that. So what I kind of think about when Amanda comes on doing random things with me, I want to brand that as, the barely passable live show with Amanda.
Right.
So I think that would be kind of fun to do, which I think Amanda and I have a show coming up. I forget what day we said we were going to get together. We were going to talk about, Amanda, what were we going to talk about? Comment sections, dealing with comment sections on social media. But so Greg, I think we're making progress. I think we're on to something now. Let's try to finalize a name for it. Whether it's an offshoot of Tossing Salad, like keeping the spirits of that, or something else. So I think now that we're both kind of like, okay, this is going to work, I think we can come up with some names.
Did you stick with the music intro stuff?
And that's the other thing. I don't know if we can squeeze it in now because we're like an hour and 9 minutes. I want to do one to where I sit with you and you help me craft up what I need to do with the music, because I want to add that into Toxic Salad.
I was gonna say the thought was like the one that the like R&B one you liked could be your show one, but then when I'm on, you could play the like heavy one. It could be like something like, you know what I mean? Like that could be like.
Can I be super annoying, because I kind of want to keep both of them for my show now?
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can do something.
Come up with a new one.
Okay. Yeah, we could do a new one with whatever the name we land, like side piece or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
that could be
like
super.
I think that's fun too, because now I've got somebody working with me on the show to where you can come up with musical stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
So for certain segments, maybe that are recurring, we have a specific motif. I don't know if that's what that's called.
Yeah.
A certain song.
You. Okay.
But I do want to. I am 100%. I want the 2 songs that you submitted to me a few weeks ago. I need to figure out how to make those my intro and my outro and how to do the vocals on it. So maybe the next time we get together or we do a bonus episode. Yeah,
you got to send me that, right? To just send me your voice track that says with Brian Sumatras.
I kind of I can't get this circling the rim out of my mind. I'm just like,
I bet you can't.
And Amanda are talking about margaritas, and I'm like, that's not quite what's going through my head, but
you got all worked up with the 2 fingers deep thing.
The 2 fingers deep, which I guess that's not what I'm going to end up going through here this year.
I think you only want them to use one. And the prep is the worst. The absolute worst is the prep.
Yeah, Amy I don't know if she wants me to say, she just had her first one last week, so it was a whole production.
Yeah, Rachel had hers a couple weeks ago too, and it was it's awful.
Dude, I mean, the fact that we go from that's not conversations we had when we were 20.
No. It was like, which Lords of Acid song do you like?
Right. And now we're like comparing.
And where's Lance?
We're comparing, getting prepped for your first.
Yep.
What is that called? Not anal search.
Weird.
What's that called?
Colonoscopy.
Right?
Yeah. That's the world we're in now.
Emma's doing hers later this year. Amanda's doing hers in March. What if we do a roundtable colonoscopy day, to where when we're all getting it down at the same time, and we just remotely all join in live together as it's happening? It's not fun in a sense that this is what our conversations are. Like, what Gen? Are we Gen X?
That's
after the boomers. We're not boomers.
I'm a boomer. No, I'm just kidding.
I think we're Gen X, but like millennials and whoever else came after us, they're not going to relate to some of this.
No. My wife and I say that all the time. Every once in a while, like, I'm like, you can pretend like we're still dating, right? Like, you don't have to say everything. Like,
but I mean, are things still hot? You know what I'm saying?
She's hot because she's going through menopause, I think.
See, but I mean, is that stuff that our wives want us? I mean, they don't want you mentioning that, right?
I don't know. I don't think Rachel cares. She tells everybody. She's one of those people that tells people things before they figure it out. It's like a defense mechanism.
Oh, really?
Like, she'll go into a room and be like, I spilled on my shirt. Like, before somebody says, like, I'm like, why do you make a big deal about it? Just wait. Maybe nobody will notice. But
right.
And she goes in like, look, I spilled. Like,
Amy does the same thing. It is funny that we're obviously entering into a completely different thing, to where, I mean, things were hot before, and then now we're talking about prepping for colonoscopy.
Let's do a show. You got your sports one, parents, and then or your travel, whatever, and then let's do one on like, you do one on like that stuff, like the aging stuff. Like, because I went to a movie, I wanted to tell you about that. Sometimes went to a movie recently, and they were using words that like I wasn't used to hearing. I'm like, wow, I'm really old now. Like,
I thought you were going to tell me you got in like super cheap because you took advantage of the 50 and over.
It was a rom-com, and I was like, oh, they're saying like kids words, and I'm like, oh no, like it just hit me. I'm like, so yeah, we could do one on aging.
Yeah, now I'm depressed.
Yeah, same here.
At first, 2 minutes ago, I'm thinking about rim jobs and what did she say? Circling the rim.
Yeah.
And then now we're talking
and now
about
we're talking about colonoscopies.
Yeah. So, all right. So we are at the end of our live. Greg and I, hopefully by the time we come back, we will have a name for our recurring segment show under Tossing Salad. And I think we're going to do a Dear Abby, where we sit down and Greg's going to come up with a Dear Abby, which I can just see that would be so much fun. That has to be a recurring, because I think people tuning in would love to hear that, and we all will have our own takes on it.
Especially because, nowadays you can find answers for everything. So back in those days, you'd be like, how do I tell my husband I got crabs?
Do you know when you think that can you do during the day or at night or what?
I can do, nights pretty much white. We really don't have anything going on night. My band is kind of coming to an end with somebody might be moving and going away. So it's like I have a couple shows coming up, but after that, I mean, my weekdays are
it's not the
fine.
lead singer girl, is it?
Yes.
Oh, it's her.
How are you going to
school? How do you replace her? You can replace any of the other old guys that play an instrument, but to have a younger lead singer that's comfortable coming to somebody's garage.
Yeah, she's awesome too. I'm bummed, but yeah, she's going away to school, so we're So but point being, I'll have weeknights are wide open. We don't really have anything going on. We don't. This is my new hobby, so.
Well, good. So let's try to.
We can find a night. Yeah.
So you will find the Dear Abby. Okay. Let's try to come up with a name, or at least narrow it down to 2 or 3 names. Maybe we'll have everybody help us on the next episode. Let's do the Dear Abby on that one too.
Circling the rim kind of works too.
I love. I can go off of something like you said, the Tossing Salad, or it can just be something that just captures what we're trying to do. That's fine with me.
Okay.
And then Amanda, if you're still on, you and I after this, I need to find out when you're free, because we got to get ours recorded too. So, all right, guys, thanks for hanging out on a Tuesday evening, Tuesday night live with Greg, and we will see you all next